Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome to What's Next Peter French, who's the General Manager for Middle East and Africa at Acronis, Akhona and Nkalitshane, who's the Product Manager for Rectron South Africa. Firstly, good morning to both of you. How are you guys doing?
Good morning, Aki. I'm doing great. Nice to have this kind of setup. I'm just looking forward to the whole thing panning out nicely. Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning to you. And Peter, hi to you. I mean, we chatted earlier in January at the Acronis event and certainly highlighted a lot of the challenges we're going to be talking about today, talking about staying cyber resilient by preventing tomorrow's cyber threats today. And we all know what's going on out there. It's literally, it's war, right, in the cyber world. The cyber threats that are happening, that are hitting organizations every single day. I mean, cybersecurity has become a hot topic in the past 3 to 4 years. How does Acronis set itself apart in terms of being identified as a leader in what they do, Peter?
Well, good morning. And yeah, it was a great pleasure chatting to you then and going into those topics at a very high level. I must say, for me, I can't see cybersecurity as being a recent trend, but it is probably becoming more every man or every person's concern now, and it's more and more on our radar with press articles, with major breaches and attacks, and that's part of daily news. It's no longer in hackers' underground websites or something, or on some deep tech article. So it is very mainstream. From an Acronis perspective, we pivoted 7 years ago, we started to pivot from being a pure data protection provider to being a cyber protection provider. And what that means is we're focusing on the complete protection of data, not only on creating another copy of it, which is indeed an integral part of your cyber readiness, of securing your critical workloads. But there's so much more to it, and there's so many more threats to your data being accessed by bad actors, or being deleted, or being leaked or compromised, or never mind just that, but just due to negligence now, there are many risks that organizations face and huge fines that can be imposed upon them for this. So what we as Acronis do, and what we're doing to separate ourselves or to define ourselves, is A, cyber protection as a whole, understanding what the threats are, what the risks are, and providing a complete, integrated, single pane of glass, single solution that allows the managed service providers to easily and quickly address this total protection space for your data. And the key component there is a single pane of glass, a single solution, a single agent. One interesting stat that came up just the other day that I was reading is SPs or MSPs spend 69% of their time managing and orchestrating various solutions to look after their customers' data. And sure, that's your job as an MSP, but if you can reduce that time significantly, if you can halve it by simplifying the solutions, you're able to address more customers. And that translates to, better security for your customers, and as a business, channel business, more revenue for you, more profit for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 69% is quite an astonishing number when you think about it. And certainly thank you for highlighting the seriousness of cybersecurity and how important it is. Akhona, when you look at cyber threats and how they've increased, and we've seen a massive increase since the introduction of remote work, right? Now you've got all these additional risks happening simultaneously. What are the additional considerations that one needs to ensure when you are looking at working remotely? Because I'm pretty sure that remote work has put a massive strain on security within a corporate environment.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, we've seen the shift in how people used to work. especially over the past 2 to 3 years, people being forced to work remotely and companies having to adjust and having to strengthen their security solutions that they have, because now people are working outside the company's firewall, they are outside the company's connections. It means that companies have to adopt other services to make sure that those employees that are not connected within the company's wireless connection, they have to make sure that they are protected. So there's quite a lot of things that companies actually need to look at, because as humans, there's so much that people can do. I always say this, especially with cyber threats evolving and increasing on a day-to-day basis. So there's quite a lot. You find that people are not working from home, and in South Africa, unfortunately, we're faced with things like load shedding, whereby you might be working at home and load shedding strikes. Maybe you don't have backup power to make sure that your internet is up and running. So the next thing a person looks at is going to the nearest hotspot or to the nearest coffee shop where there is internet available. And that is actually causing, or actually you are putting yourself in danger, because you are connecting to an internet hotspot or connection that you are not even sure of how secure it is. And so that is why we always encourage companies, organizations of all different sizes to say, we understand that you don't have the full control of your network anymore because people are working outside. So they have to introduce other solutions just to strengthen the security posture that the employees are being connecting outside their company's networks. Things like making sure that your employees as well, teaching them about cybersecurity. Like I said, as people, there's so much that you can do. A company should have rollouts. I would always say this, maybe twice a year, once a year, have a workshop whereby you're taking all your employees through a series of workshops on how to spot cyber threats and how to actually prevent themselves from actually getting attacked. There's other solutions. I mean, you find that there's companies that have the minimalist of all cybersecurity solutions that they have in place, and they have very critical data. There are certain things that companies can do. Connecting through a VPN is one of the things, but that on its own is not 100%. So that is why you have the likes of companies like Acronis who've got the services to say, we're not just giving you the solution to say you're storing your data in a different location, but they offer that cyber protection as well, because it's very important that you're protected wherever you are. People are now becoming more dependent on internet. Wherever you go, you want to make sure that you've got internet available at your fingertips. And that is also another problem. We like the what's the word for it? We like the convenience that comes with it. You're able to do everything wherever you are. But are we looking at other external factors that come with that? So there's different solutions available. From protecting your data is one thing. There's also, you have to make sure that your endpoints are protected. So employee services, whereby you know that you can be able to give your employees, stop them from doing certain things like plugging in any other device that they have. There are solutions that are able to do that. People are now connecting to their mobile devices to do work. I might be stepping out. Working remotely comes with flexibility, right? So I might be stepping out to go to the supermarket to pick up something in like 15 minutes. I get an urgent email. I tap on my phone. I'm connecting, and then I respond to that. That is companies' data being connected to a device that is not protected. So companies actually need to employ services and ways on how do they make sure that these devices are protected as well. And with the solutions that Acronis has, I mean, there's different solutions available, tailor-made to the type of security level that you need for your data. So you are able to actually build up. It all depends on, are you an SME or a medium company or an enterprise company? Obviously, the level of security required is not going to be the same. But at the end of the day, it's all important that everyone stays up to being protected, because there is no one who's immune, no matter the company size that you are. I actually read stats lately that SMBs, they are actually, I think the last time I checked, they're about 43% in danger. It's like the number is growing and growing on a daily basis. And one of the reasons for that would be is because they think that they are small companies. Nobody's going to be looking into attacking them. And that is where actually the most vulnerabilities lie, because cyber criminals are smart. They know that smaller companies don't invest much into things like cybersecurity, and that is why they use those tools to attack those smaller companies in volumes. And at the end of the day, they do get the type of level of whatever they want.
Yeah.
And you look at your bigger organizations as well. You've seen in the past bigger companies being attacked, and something that no one could actually expect, because you always expect your bigger corporates to have everything in place, right? But it's funny how in the recent years we've seen that those companies do actually get attacked as well, which actually goes to prove that there is no one immune. There is no one who can say I've got 100% security to make sure that I am never attacked. So there's quite a lot. Employing the right services, picking up your data, including other services like patching your systems with cloud. Cloud means that services and applications are forever being updated, and with every update that comes through, there are bugs that are there. Do you have the services in place to make sure whenever there are bugs, you are able to fix them? Is your data encrypted across all the devices? So those are some of the measures that company can be able to employ and make sure that they're in place, just to make sure that they are safe, because, like I said, humans can do so much. There's email phishing. Just make sure that everything is in place.
No, interesting stuff. I mean, you talk about data and how important the protection of data is. And, you know, with the enforcement of the POPIA Act from July 2021, are you seeing, Peter, a change in how companies look at cybersecurity? And is the demand of, for data protection growing, or is it staying stagnant? Are people doing the same as what they were doing a year ago, for example?
Look, I think I actually alluded to fines and that form of threat being imposed upon organizations from a financial risk perspective just now. Sure, there are bad actors out there after you and they're going to make you pay ransom, but irresponsible management of your data and of your customers' data, you're going to pay ransom to the government for that, because you're going to be fined. And POPIA or GDPR, they are definite drivers in a better security stance or better overall security. It's definitely seen it or resulted in an uptick and a drastic uptake by all levels of organizations to improve their security stance, to better manage their data, to implement controls and processes, to understand what data they're storing. So yes, in short, there's definitely been an acceleration or advancement in cybersecurity in respect of POPIA, data protection and legislation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that, despite the fact that, we've got the POPIA Act, I mean, we've seen some serious security breaches over the last year that have happened where, my personal data as a customer have been affected. So it certainly just goes to show how bad it is out there. Akhona, when you look at the common practices that companies overlook, I mean, you touched on some of them. I mean, patching, for example, is just such an obvious one, but sometimes it does get overlooked. What are those common practices which do get overlooked, which may put them more in danger of cyber attacks, Akhona?
Yeah, I think on that it's also in line with what I touched on my previous points, whereby companies, things have changed. It's no longer the same. There's people not working in the offices, and even if they are working in the offices, I always go back to training. Training is much more important, because not all your employees are going to be aware that of what cyber crime is or what cyber threats are. So it's very important that those things are put into place. Things that companies overlook is the amount of data updates that actually happen, collaboration tools as well. We are becoming more and more reliant on actually having to work on collaboration tools, because it's also people are not working in the same office anymore on a day-to-day basis. So those are some of the things that we might not actually, it's as simple as I'm taking in a meeting through one of the collaboration tools available. I'm not using my company laptop that is actually having the security required. Maybe I'm taking it on a different mobile device. That is also causing a threat. People can do so much. There's email phishing that is available. I always tell customers and all the people that I deal with that email threats are the most used type of cyber attack that criminals use out there. So it's very important to have email security in place. And one of the reasons for that is almost each and every company uses email. You find that depending on the nature of company or the nature of the business, companies are using emails. And do you have the protection that is needed to have the protection in place? And also, once in a while, review your security posture, review your security environment to find out and be able to see, are the services that you have in place, are they working the way that they're supposed to? And if they're not, because whatever security level you might have, threats are forever evolving. It might not be able to stop some of the threats that are forever coming up. So be able to review your security levels within your IT infrastructures as well. And the way data is being handled as well. You cannot now in this day rely on having data stored on one location, on your primary service. What happens if your servers fail? What happens if there's a natural disaster? Anything can happen. You are actually at threat and at danger of losing all the information. So one of the things that companies actually need to employ is the culture of having your data stored in different regions, and with the use of other services as well. Are you able, if your company was to be down for an hour, 2 hours a day, will you be able to carry on the cost, or are you going to be losing millions? So there's things like that are important, business continuity. Some of these services may come at a price, but trust me, the price that you are going to be paying to prevent those things from happening is far less than what you would pay when you actually become compromised and are at threat. So there's quite a lot. Like I said, backing up, reviewing your systems, teaching your staff, providing trainings, and so forth.
Good advice there, very good advice there. And I think that, often companies overlook, they're storing their data in one place. I know a few companies like that. What happens if you have a natural disaster? You've got to look at alternatives like cloud storage, for example, which are critical. But reviewing your data security and how your posture is many times is also great advice, because sometimes people put those security measures in place. They think, well, I'm secured, and they just leave it there. You can't just forget about that. At the launch I attended in January, Acronis launched a local data center, which I found quite interesting. It's on South African soil. How will this help companies with their data security compliance?
Well, I think on the compliance standpoint, especially if you're looking at financial, government, or medical institutions where there's a prerequisite to have data sovereignty or certain types of data, indeed, that enables it and allows us or those customers to leverage our total stack of services and obviously store data in our DC. But for the general market as well, or the broader market, what it really does is it provides the level of performance and the experience of these cloud services onto local soil. So you no longer need to traverse the large fiber optic networks around the world at higher latencies, at lower throughputs, at shaped, congested links. And sure, bandwidth is increasing, but the shorter round-trip time, the better. And that improves the experience, it improves the interface, it improves your ability to manage more and more workloads, more and more customers quickly. And of course, it ticks the box on where is my data stored, because you can literally know in which physical building, if we were to disclose that, of course, but we are able to guarantee that all data resides within the perimeters of that building, or those buildings. And that offers reassurance, because once I move things to the cloud, where is the cloud? It's everywhere, right? And it's someone else's computer somewhere else, and it could be replicated or whatever. I need to be able to control that. So I need to know who has access to it, and where it is physically located. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, data again, and data sovereignty, where does the data reside? I think those are very, very important points that you raise. I kind of look, we talk about security and we talk about adding those additional products, but some will say that, yes, there are free products that come together with, integrated into my operating system, for example. Those security products are there for consumers and commonly used by small companies as well. Is this good enough when you look at where we are with all these evolving cyber threats? Is that base security that comes for free good enough today?
Wow. Love the question. And the answer to that is a no, because everything that is free is a free source or free to use will have limitations, and not small limitations, but quite a lot, or it won't give you the comprehensive protection that you are actually looking for. There is a reason why it is most of these solutions that you find available on the internet, or the ones that are actually targeted for consumers. They don't have the level of security or protection that is required for an enterprise, for a business, so to speak. And you find that these are not only used by consumers. You find that your smaller companies also use the services. I mean, it's fair enough that everything at the end of the day, it does boil down to what is the price of the service. But is the price of the service more important than what the service actually gives you? So it's all about the benefits that come with the service that you're looking for. And if you are running a business, no matter how many employees you have, no matter what the size of your business, it's important that you employ business-related protection services for your IT environment. And the reason for that is what I always think is that people always think when you go the enterprise route or the business route, then the price point becomes different. But what I like about the services that we offer is there's different levels of security or protection that is actually available. So you are able to pick the services according to the level of security that you require. So there's protection services that are available online or for free are not going to give you the type of protection that you want. Most of them are just purely protecting the endpoint part of things, and it just ends there. What if your data is sitting in the cloud somewhere? Is your data protected? There's other security solutions available all around the world. And I think we've seen how ransomware protection has become one of the most important things to have when you are actually looking at cyber protection. But do those services, those consumer lines have those type of level of security? No. So take away the price point of things. Look at what it comes with. Is it getting what I want? There's a reason why a person would buy a Mercedes and not a Tesla. It's pretty much the same thing, the same scenario, the same principle when it comes to security as well. Look at what you're looking for. Look at the level of security that you want, and then gauge it from there. Because there's consumer lines, yes, they'll give you the security that you require, but it's not going to be comprehensive or to the level of business protection or enterprise levels of type of security.
No, I mean, I guess what I'm hearing from you, and a nice analogy as you were talking there is if you've got a house, right, the basic security would be the front door. But you need to put a security door as well, and you need to put a garage door as well, and you need to put a gate where you come into your home, I mean, all those additional measures are protecting you and making you safer, I guess.
And that is
Peter,
why,
when you look at...
And that is
exactly.
why it's important for people to look at security in that sense as well. Look at it. You are living in your house. You've got the door. You've got the windows. You want the fence. Why do you need the surveillance cameras? It's the same thing,
Exactly.
Response.
And the alarm system and this and that. So, no, important stuff there. I mean, Peter, anti-ransomware is something that has become very important. And when it comes to protecting data in the cloud, for example, on-prem or in a hybrid environment, what added services does Acronis offer to provide comprehensive cyber protection?
So, I mean, this is great because now I get to talk product a little bit. I'll try my best not to do the full pitch, but look, in terms of our total protection offering, we look at the security stance from the various layers and the various challenges we're trying to address. So your safety, accessibility, privacy, authenticity, and security. These are the various pillars that we focus on. And addressing each of these various pillars, we have components in our Cyber Protect Cloud platform that address them. So be it, as you all know, backup, and as we've spoken, that's an important component, and by extension of backup, we have continuity or disaster recovery. Then moving on from a security standpoint, ransomware protection. We have our own incredible ransomware protection engine. Couple that up with an advanced anti-malware engine, so full stack anti-malware, antivirus. Then extending beyond that, we do patch management and vulnerability assessment to identify potential risks and of course deal with them before they are exploited and before introduction of potential malware into our systems. And now going even beyond that, we have from an authenticity perspective, we have notarization technology that can notarize files that are stored in the cloud or files that you share or agreements or contracts that you might be sharing, and offering blockchain-based notarization. And then extending the SANSA position even further, we look at data leakage and data loss prevention, device control, so being able to limit which types of USB devices can be plugged into employees' PCs at home, because that's a very common entry point for malware as well, and was traditionally, and it actually still is, a prevalent, a real risk for company data, and not just being able to introduce threats, but being able to exfiltrate large volumes of data from a corporate network. So being able to lock down which exact external hard drive could access your system and get on a company laptop. And of course, Akhona mentioned just now, email being the most prevalent form of or entry point for malware. So our advanced email security is an exceptional protection vector and mechanism that's part of our cyber protection solution. Goodness me. And then we go on. I mean, in EDR, endpoint detection and response, this is now sort of a zero trust framework, zero trust thinking, being able to isolate and identify exactly what the operating system should look like and what processes and process interaction is, and defining that to a T so that anything that operates outside of that norm is halted in its tracks before it can cause any damage. Goodness me, I think, and the list goes on. I mean, we have tools for automation, for managing larger workloads, more environments, more systems. So our cybersecurity toolkit, we have numerous integrations with remote management and professional services automation tools that extend even beyond just cyber protection, but from total environment or remote IT and enterprise IT control. And we're constantly looking for what tomorrow's threats are and how we're going to address them with our cyber protection stack. So, I think in summary, that's it. But I'd also
I think what's important, sorry to interrupt you there, Peter, is that important to highlight what you guys spend on R&D, because that for me is quite impressive, because you're constantly looking at reinventing and really coming up before the cyber threats happen. This is the kind of money that you're spending. I mean, you're spending a lot of money. Just touch on that just very briefly, please.
So I do not have our internal numbers on R&D spend, but I can say through collaboration with our partnered universities or through our One Founders established universities where they are researching cybersecurity, where they are driving research centers around the world to understand regional threats and the region-specific type of threats. University programs, schools, it starts at that level from an education, being able to, I can't say build, but train and create security conscious developers, being able to build from the ground up these new technologies for the modern connected cloud world that we're in. And I mean, we've R&D center with 500 employees and 700 employees, and now it's grown rapidly. In Bulgaria, we are establishing additional R&D centers with our university partnerships. It's our number one priority, is being able to understand the security risks and build appropriate solutions and innovative and leading solutions for this.
Yeah. Well, let me get your parting thoughts to both of you. It's been a fascinating conversation. What's the single most important advice that you would give a security professional with the backdrop of what we've been talking about, and you know, protecting your data, protecting your infrastructure? What would your single most biggest piece of advice be? Let's start with you, Akhona.
Well, for me, I think I've already said this, is that look at yourself as someone who's a victim, no matter the size or your company size. And for security professionals, just give the right advice to all your customers, because what we've seen is the customers, organizations, companies, they know what they want, they know what their business processes are, but to employ the other services that are needed to make sure that they are protected, it all depends on us as security professionals to give out the right advice to those customers and those companies. And just please make sure that you stay woke. Cyber threats are there. Everyone is a victim. And I'm talking about individuals as well. They can even hack you, Aki, because they know maybe there's some information that they want from you. So it's something that no one is immune.
Don't
stay woke, stay alive, and just make sure you've got all the protection in place that you need. Yeah.
I think you've invented a new terminology there, Akhona. Stay cyber woke. I like it. I like it. I'm going to start using it from now on.
Woke, yes.
Peter, your closing, your closing thoughts and your single piece of advice that you would give, consumers, businesses out there, Peter.
Well, it's funny that that the cyber woke thing came out, because my closing remarks is speaking to our stance and our approach to cyber protection. Is we have cyber fitness, to get cyber fit. And it's a really, really thorough and complete analogy on what a security journey is for an individual security practitioner. You need, like with exercise, you need to get fit. Now, we don't just get fit so we can do more exercise. We get fit because we need to be healthy. And our security stance, cyber fitness stance, will improve as we get cyber fit through good nutrition in fitness, good health, good exercise. And then moving that or extrapolating on that a little bit, we go back to the analogy just now of the TAS and the Mercedes. The cybersecurity needs of an SMB and an enterprise vary by degree, not by kind. And therefore, they need a different version of the tool. So a professional cyclist needs a different bicycle to the guy who's just going for a casual ride. And there's a price difference on that tool. There's a functional difference on it. And it's not just because you can pay more, therefore you're going to be the best or you're going to be the most secure. No. There's all the hard work, there's all the training, there's all the readiness that one needs to put in, and the investment of time and focus to get to that point. And you will never be the fittest person in the world, because next year someone else will come along and will challenge you and will put you, beat your records, or you could get sick, and then you're not going to be fit for very long, and you've got to work all the way back at it. so too you can be 100% secure. You can take every measure possible to protect yourself, and a new threat can come along and it can hit you. What then? How do you deal with that? So get cyber fit. My closing comment.
Yeah, and just
Good
to add on
advice.
that,
Cyber
sorry, Aki, just to add on that, you spoke about, you used the analogy of a Tesla and the Mercedes. I think if we are looking at cost saving, people should try adopting cloud. I think it's the most reliable, most cost effective form of having your data protected. So I know a lot of companies, especially your old professional people, they, like when you used to how things used to be done, and now there's this introduction of new technologies. Cloud is, yes, there are companies who would want to have a bit of both, but so far cloud has proven to be more cost effective. There's not a lot of infrastructure maintenance that you need to do on your side, but your data is protected. So let's get into the habit of adopting cloud into our lives, and we'll see how it can actually simplify things.
Thank you very much. Now, awesome advice, guys. Akhona Nkalitshane, product manager for Rectron South Africa. Peter French, who's the general manager for Middle East and Africa at Acronis. Guys, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your thoughts with us this morning on What's Next. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Aki.